From Charleston Mayor John Tecklenburg's audit to when he will file for re-election for a City Council District 5 seat, I speak exclusively with City Council member Marvin Wagner for the special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview later on my free Quintin's Close-Ups iHeartRadio podcast. Marvin Wagner, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. Glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Obviously, you are representing Charleston City Council, I believe, for District 7. District 5. When you drive around District 5 these days, what concerns you?
Oh, Lord, it's such a large district, comprised of all of the outer West Ashley areas, and all of Johns Island that belongs to the city is in District 5. What concerns me is they're still building, especially Johns Island. There's still only two ways on and off, one of which floods in heavy storms. And there doesn't seem to be infrastructure planned or in place to take care of any future growth. The county basically is building on their side of the island, basically. And the city is still working on their side. We still, I think Mr. Legree from the Johns Island Water said that they'd had something like 8,000 water taps approved, and they're almost all spoken for. So that means they're building, I think, but the infrastructure is not keeping up. It's got to be infrastructure first. Got to be. That's what bothers me, because I'm not seeing how we're going to get there. The second part of the equation, from Johns Island, you come back across, and I've got everything from Carolina Bay, pretty much the end of the world out there, the end of the county, but it's, and it stops right like Glen McConnell.
Right.
We have, we have a couple more subdivisions coming that are being well planned, and one of them being on out, that's going to be a very huge project right up, and it's going to be a whole lot of more green space provided because this subdivision is coming north this way.
This way.
It's called Long Savannah. It's been around since about 2006.
Right.
For the total of their holdings, they're not going to build but maybe on about 20% of it. A lot of low land, and you know, oh man, we got 10,000 rooftops coming. No, we don't. We don't even have 6,000 coming. And we're talking the area between Savannah Highway and Highway 61. That's about 4 miles.
Right.
And it goes this way, back. And you know, it's a lot of the infrastructure is being planned in that subdivision, including, I believe, a commitment in their planned unit development of $1,000 per unit sold for infrastructure needs. So they sell a house, so they get $1,000, or $1,000 is spent on infrastructure, whether it's roads or whatever. They've got one school, one plot out for a school site. I think it's about 20 acres. And which they're given as part of their planned unit development. They're probably a couple years from shoveling the first scoop of dirt, but that one looks to me to be the wave of the future for outer West Ashley. It's the last frontier. It's the only place where there's still open dirt, and it's got to be infrastructure first, both out West Ashley and outer West Ashley in particular, and Johns Island, which is District 5.
Right.
You know, when my first campaign, and about the only one, is my true belief. If you are ever elected to a position, you're elected to be this consolidated voice of your people, whoever elected you. And I've tried very hard to live to that. But when you have competing groups, multiple facets coming at you, it's kind of hard sometimes to figure out just which one's the real voice. You know what I mean? That's the hardest part of the job.
Where is your voice in the middle of that?
Mine is, I'm not elected because I'm the smartest guy in the room. You know that. I'll even tell you, I'm not the smartest guy in this room, and it's just me and you. You know? But where my voice comes in is I take and I process, just like all of us do. We process the information we're given. We get what we get from staff, what we get from each of the constituent groups, and we try to make the right decision based on what we have seen, heard, and observed. And that's how you do it. That's the only way to do it. I don't know of any other way. And if you got one, tell me quick. Tell me, well, don't give me that. Just tell me what the best way to do it. You know, there's no one person knows everything. Everyone has to rely on experts, on the people that have hired them, basically, or elected them in our case. It is a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of emails, and a large number of phone calls. All this goes together. We're in contact with staff.
Right.
We're in the mayor's office, and everybody else. That's what the job is about. And it's really changed from 4 years ago. And what used to be maybe 10 hours a week is now 20 to 30 hours a week. I mean, we're almost in full-time mode now, all of us.
All of us. You talk about the mayor's office. You
Yes.
talk about staff.
Yes.
You talk about processing.
Yes.
How do you process this preliminary audit of Mayor John Tecklenburg?
I process it very simply. Were mistakes made? Yes. Sure were. I mean, it was right in the first of the audit reports. How serious were they? Well, anytime money's involved, it gets serious. Whether, you know, so what I see here is, yeah, there was a little smoke. Some folks kind of believed that there was a huge fire, and we've just seen the very tip of the smoke. Others believed that there was, just a mistake here and a mistake there. Well, there's 6, 7 things involved with that audit, and we only have the preliminary. Final comes out this afternoon. I didn't see anything prior, and I haven't seen any of the revised stuff yet. What the revised findings are going to be, if there are any, or additional findings. Most of the problems that were identified occurred early.
Okay.
I mean, within the first 2 years.
Okay.
A lot of what I've seen so far, not the individual items, but the general atmosphere that created it, went away. And we've been in contact, and I've been in 3 or 4 in our executive sections where some things were brought up that the mayor corrected in his defense, Now, the fact that some folks were expecting a big bombshell and it didn't occur, okay, doesn't mean the rest of it went away. We still have audit findings.
Right.
We still have some degree of whatever, either a mess up, whether it was intentional or not. And I can't do that. I can't make that determination. What do? Just like any audit. Okay, we have a limited scope. We look at these findings. We don't get to go over here and say, oh, well, that didn't work. Let me go try something else. We're seeing that all over Washington right now, and including the same thing over and over. But we can't do that. We don't want to do that. The errors that were made, the control weaknesses that were in place that got fixed. Okay. We'll see what else comes down. There might be more, but it's not, it's not earth shattering. He's still messed up. He probably should have known better. But what are you gonna do? You're not really gonna. You can't really kill the guy. You can't beat him up. You don't want to do anything really bad, because a lot of it is like the ethics gentleman that spoke to us said. Some of it is purview. He can do it because maybe I can't do it, but because he has the, with strong mayor, weak council. Right. But he has a certain amount of latitude out there, and with that latitude, he didn't do anything rising to to where you got to smack him around a lot. Was it a political audit? I don't believe it was. I honestly don't think that was politically motivated. His campaign is trying to make it look that way, which I would probably do too. But I don't think it was politically motivated at all.
You talked earlier about obviously strong mayor, weak council. Mm-hmm. Would you ever vote for, strong council, weak mayor?
Would I vote for that? I don't know that work is any harder than what we're having to work right now. Probably. However, within those constraints, okay, it can go terribly wrong under that, because you're basically dividing the power, which is supposedly consolidated at the top, and the leadership, which is supposedly consolidated at the mayor's level now. He becomes a little bit less important because he's not leading the city anymore. Now we have an administrator out there, more than, a city administrator, somebody like that, that's doing that. So he can, so that particular form of government would allow a lot more time to be out among the people without having to lead the staff. Okay. And each of the city council members would have more say in what goes on in their world, their districts. Right. And so it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. We don't know. I don't know. I would explore it. I really would. But would I vote for it? I don't know yet. Probably, though, would be the answer.
And in his defense, obviously this is from the Post-Inquirer. It says this: an audit into Charleston Mayor John Tecklenburg's expenditures since he took office found some questionable purchases and a need for a handbook for newly elected officials, but no self-dealing or personal financial benefit to him, according to the Post-Inquirer. Tecklenburg basically said he is prepared to write a check for any money he may owe, and he says he sees value in creating a transition manual for new city council members and new mayor. How should that manual look?
Most of it's common sense, I think. I honestly would believe. If I give you a check to go to North Charleston, I pay you $100 to go up to North Charleston and spend an hour and come back. Right? If you don't go to North Charleston, you're not allowed to keep that money. It's that simple. I mean, it's more common sense to me. And having lived in the U.S. government for 37 years of my life, we had some rules, and some serious rules, and some serious consequences. I would use something like that. But bottom line is, you have to have travel regulations, because at one time Charleston didn't. And, whatever you spent, you got paid for. That's been supposedly 20, 30 years ago. So, I don't know what I would put in that manual, I would, you know, no self-dealing, that's obvious. You know, you're not supposed to use your, any elected official is not supposed to get any personal gain, whether it's monetary or other, from the position. And we have to go back through it and say, okay, what do we really need to tell these people and what's obvious? And then you have to go 2 or 3 steps further. And that's for all employees. It's not just elected officials, you know.
And obviously, you know, in
Don't
this...
come to work and take a nap. Don't charge me 8 hours. You know? Not good. Oh, don't say, boy, that laptop's a lot better than mine, and then change them out. You know, they don't do stuff like that.
And obviously, in this audit, Sandy Tecklenburg was involved with it, who was apparently the First Lady of Charleston. And I know that obviously there's some questions about her and using the city-issued vehicle. When you look at this situation with Sandy, where does your mind go to?
I really like that lady too.
She's great. She's great.
That family.
Yeah, she's great.
I'm looking in this pocket. I might have that card that John gave me in my pocket because I don't know if you've ever seen it. If I've got one of them, I kept it in my pocket because I get asked about it a lot. And Sandy is a great mayor's wife.
She is.
She has been very active in the community pretty much forever. Period. Driving the mayor's car, we probably have a regulation against that. In fact, I know we do. Not necessarily the mayor's wife, but my wife, if I had a city vehicle. But there are times, look, just like we work long hours, the mayor works long hours.
Right.
And a lot of times, Sandy's with him. Just like a lot of times when I go somewhere, my wife's with me. If I am tired, I've had 12, 14-hour days, I haven't eaten, I'm grumpy, and I'm about to fall asleep, I beg my wife to drive me home, you know. I don't see that as a real big deal. That's one that I didn't feel real strongly about at all.
Okay.
Some of the stuff I do, I would be more worried if it came out that the mayor and his office knew about the findings in the audit as it was occurring.
Did they?
I don't know. It would cause me more grief if I found that out than anything I've seen in that audit, okay? Because the words were, neither the mayor nor any member of council has seen anything to do with this audit prior to last Tuesday when they handed it to us.
Did the city attorney did?
That's what everybody had said.
Okay.
The auditors, the legal people, everybody. So what would concern me is if, yeah, he did know as it was going on. If he was being briefed on the audit. Okay? Hey, we're auditing you, but if I was you, I'd look at A, B, and C, that kind of stuff. Okay? If something like that occurred, that would bother me a whole lot more than anything I read in that report. That's just a statement. I don't know that anything like that happened, but that's what would bother me.
And you talk about statements. To be fair, the Tecklenburg campaign says this: policy disagreements are not ethics issues. Under Charleston's strong mayor form of government, the mayor has broad latitude to make management decisions. When you hear that, you say what?
I say that's a good statement. However, broad is the word, and that came straight out of the mouth of this supposed, I don't know the guy that was the ethics lawyer that was brought in at the end. I don't know where he came from, but I assume our legal people wanted to have a second voice, and that's within their discretion to do that.
Would you all, as city council, seek out an independent voice, someone not in the city of Charleston?
Based on what we've seen so far, just on that small piece of information, I would say no. I don't see what would be gained by doing that. I don't know who it would benefit. I mean, if they've looked at all of the expenditures and they've deemed them all okay, that's fine. And I'm willing to go with the staff and our internal auditor, who appears to be a very reputable gentleman, you know, to me. If there, you know, in the scheme of the city government and in the mayor's race and the mayor's job, the way I understand it, we've looked at that much. There are other things that could come out in the morning that would create the situation you just said. Oh my God, you know, this is beyond our scope, this is beyond our ability, let's have somebody else look at it. And I'm talking about anything, nothing in particular, but things that you'd look at and say, what? We got to check this out. And then I think outside, depending on the type of stuff it was. If I'm paying you much money, okay, example, yeah, because you know something that I did benefit and break all the ethics laws on, okay, yeah, that would be an outside, that would be something to look at from the outside. But we're looking at, you know, a nominal amount of issues in a nominal piece of our world. We're talking one department, okay, and it's only the expenses of that one department, okay. Let's look at a couple other things that are bothering me. I'm just going to throw it out there. When I look at the city of Charleston, I don't see the type of leadership and control that we had 4 years ago. And that is a little bit concerning to me. When you are looking at a city has three really big functions. Absolutely, positively, got to do them. Nothing else. Everything else is extra. Okay. Police, fire, sanitation, engineering, that type of thing. We'll throw stormwater in since that's one of our big issues. Okay. In the last 4 years, in the last 3 years, we've replaced the fire chief. We've replaced the police chief. And we've replaced the head of our engineering department. The three major areas that the city has no choice but to not mess up, okay, are chartered. That's what we're supposed to do. That has been a concern to me. Now, fortunately, we have found really good replacements, okay, across the board for the three people we've lost. But that just seems, if that's the heart of the world, okay, and what our actual edict in this world is to do, it bothered me that we lost our three top dogs, okay, in those areas: the fire, the police, and the engineer. And I never asked why. I don't really. It's really not my thing. But they're gone. And I know two have said they retired. Congratulations. Okay. But after 20 and 30 years, it seems strange why they would suddenly retire. You know, that's just me and you here. And now
The camera.
yeah, I'm talking to you, and I forgot you got that thing sitting there looking at me. It's okay though. It's okay. You know, you asked a question, I gave you pretty much an answer, I think, and then I gave you some more.
Sure.
But yeah, it's what we do is not the easiest job I've ever had. I'll put it like that. And it does take time. It does wear on you. And that's caused me a couple sleepless nights in the last 8 years. But that's okay. You know, that's what I signed up to do. To do this, don't do it for any reason unless you're really serious about trying to do something for this city. Do not even consider running for council, because you're going to work. And there was a quote in the newspaper when Mr. Griffin got elected.
Right.
That I basically told him, now it's time to go to work, boy. You know what? That's true. I don't know who heard it, but I did say that to him, and somebody heard it and somebody wrote it. So that's all I'm going to tell you. If you're ever going to run for office, you better be really dedicated. You need to know your area. You cannot move in here from, you know, wherever, Minnesota, and 6 months later think you know everything there is to know about Charleston, because I think you're going to be in for a surprise. Charleston people need to still stay in control. Whoever it is, I don't, you know.
And obviously, you know, you've been on council now for 4 years. 8 years, excuse me.
Yes.
Are you ready to sign up again for another 4 years?
To be determined. No, I mean, you know, we'll be filing next week.
Okay.
What, first week or so in August?
Yes, sir.
If we do file, and I am planning on being here for 4 more years. I will tell you that. But as you get older, things go wrong with you. And there are things in my life that can change that decision, I will tell you. I'm getting older, and that's the number one thing. And that would be my number one concern. Am I going to have the energy and the stamina to do what's necessary for 4 more years? You know, when you got 16,000, 18,000 doors to go knock on, it gets a little harder every year to go out and say, hey, you know, I'm running again. Can you support me? Y'all hear that? But no, there are things in this world that could change that decision. Mm-hmm. But I personally am planning on running 1 more term. Now, I can't qualify it any more than that. But I'm just getting older and a little bit more testy. And when you've been frustrated on certain things, i.e. infrastructure first, in areas that really need it. You know, we've about doubled the people, city residents on Johns Island since I started. But I still got 2 pretty sorry ways on and off of that island. When they built, expanded Maybank Highway, they brought 2 lanes coming back on the highway. But these same people have to sit there for an extra 15, 20 minutes of morning to get off the island. Well, that's the evacuation route as well. Why didn't they build the 4th lane? That was the decision made basically by the city of Charleston. And I don't understand it. I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it today. But you have Main Road, which is the other way off.
Right.
When I was running 4 years ago, it was flooded for 2 or 3 days, and people couldn't get off. And I had a place to put a sign over there on Maybank Highway. Boy, I had all kinds of signs over there because they all had to see my vote for Marvin signs over there. Because that was the only way off at that moment. And I'm scared to death that should a big one, another Hugo come, we're going to have a big problem. Some really bad stuff's going to happen on Johns Island as a result of them not having but the 2 ways off.
At this moment, is the expansion of 526 dead or alive?
I heard it's still alive. That that they said it was dead, and then a few months later they said it's alive, and that we're figuring out how to spend money to finish it. I haven't seen it after that. What I do know is, whatever the decision is, we got to pay attention to getting people on and off that island, whether it's to go to work in the morning or to get out of the way of the big one. Okay? But there are twice as many City of Charleston residents now. We're having these Dutch dialogues, which are talking, they're looking real hard at the topography, the hydrology of Johns Island, as well as West Ashton, which has been in the news, and the City of Charleston, which has been flooding since I was a kid. So we have, but that's infrastructure. Okay, all of it comes under the same heading. But we have to, it looks like, even though the city downtown, the second half of the pumpings and drainage is going on there, and it might be a little bit behind, it looks like we're going to be pretty much dry, a whole lot drier as a result of it. So that's there. We had a report a year and a half ago by Mr. Horner out on West Ashley after a very, very extensive review of what was going on out there in the Shadow Moss and Hickory Hill and all of those areas that have been flooding just about annually, big time. That report has resulted, as far as I can tell, in no action yet. There might be some action planned, but if we have another big storm, we're going to flood again this year. I mean, simple pump here, a simple pump there, maybe an extra ditch here, extra ditch there. It's, you know, we pay for the studies and then nothing really happens. And quit talking, let's start doing the infrastructure improvements. That has to happen. And I don't know how we're going to do it. We've hired a stormwater guy, manager. We've really beefed up on that engineering side, but I hadn't seen any shovels, and I haven't seen any new culverts that are necessary. I haven't seen any pumps going in anywhere, and that report is now a year and a half old from Weston and Sampson, Sampson and Weston. So I don't know where the answer is, but it's got to come from the top of the city. It's got to come through the council, and quite frankly, it may well require additional taxes, which I would fight because I'm not real big in that. But I would, if it's let somebody drown and keep somebody from being able to get out of the way of danger because of the storm, because we hadn't done something, that would upset me badly. So whatever it's going to take, I think we need to start doing it.
Marvin Wagner, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Full Steps.
All right. We'll do this anytime you want to.
Sure, I'll be here.
Well, now that you're here, you keep running around. I can't hardly find you anymore. All right, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
I appreciate it. Yeah.